What are you guys drinking? Are you guys gonna
Jameson?
We have some whiskey over here.
Nice. As a Buffalo boy, I can respect just Jameson straight up.
That's
wonderful.
That's the game.
Yeah.
Although this is you're the first of a night of 3 that we have. 3 episodes that we're doing. The last one isn't our show.
Oh, okay.
So we should probably not.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we're gonna drink.
Gotta pace ourselves.
Keep it temperate.
Yeah. Slow today.
Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my... Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my...
Hey.
Hi.
Welcome, everybody, to the first show of 3 that we're recording today.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't the first that's going to be released. So last week's show, you're going to see that we are probably a little bit more tired sounding
Right.
than we are now.
Right.
But welcome to Bacon is My Podcast.
All that made so much sense.
We're going to Tarantino it.
Yeah. Before we get started, this show has been brought to you by Wild Bill's Sodas, drinkwildbills.com, by Poddex, by grillyourassoff.com, where you can get some cool grilling stuff, seasonings and rubs and things of that nature. And you can go to any one of those sites and put in the promo code BACON for 10% off your entire order.
Why? Because everything is better with bacon.
Exactly. And our good friends at Manscaped.
Yes, I'm even wearing the shirt today.
Yeah, you
It's
are.
a really nice shirt, by the way.
Your balls will thank you.
Your balls will thank you. And I walk around the house with it, and Gavin's like, Manscaped, your balls will thank you. What does that mean? And I was like, we'll talk later. Gotta go.
That's right.
That's what you do with 8-year-olds.
That is what you do with 8-year-olds.
Yeah. But if you use the promo code BACONPOD there,
Yeah.
you get 20% off.
20% off and free shipping.
And free shipping. And I can't recommend it more. I've been using the products for a little while now. And yeah, man.
Yeah, my marbles are shiny.
Indeed. So
yeah, thank you to all of them, and also a special shout out to our good peeps over at Patreon, the BIMP Squad. Patreon.com/baconismypodcast for extra episodes, extra stuff, different shows, tastings, things of that nature. Thank you guys. Check it out over there if you want to check it out. And especially a thank you to everyone that listens to the show. You guys are the reason that we keep doing this. So visit our sponsors. It helps us keep this thing going. It helps us keep it free. We do appreciate everything that you do. You got snowed in?
sort of.
I did.
Yeah. I mean,
I totally did. Yeah.
Snow. We live in New York, so we need to expect snow. Mm-hmm. Still hate it.
Yeah. Well, we live in an apartment in a house, the legalities of which is up for debate. But we have our entrance and exit is through a back porch. Mm-hmm. So there's no front of the house entrance for us. And it's a fenced-in yard and stuff. So when we get a lot of snow and it drifts in the backyard, if it drifts and we can't open the porch doors, we can't get out. And if it drifts and you can't open the fence doors, then I'm hopping a fence to try and shovel out the other side. So that was an exciting journey this weekend because our landlord was out of town. They left town on Friday. And,
well, that was smart of them.
It really was. And so I was just sitting there going, okay, I'm just going to go shovel this walkway as it's snowing 3 or 4 times during the night and hope that it doesn't cover completely. Yeah. Which, luckily it didn't.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we had drifts. Drifts. The drifts were the worst part because you can have 12 inches of snow and it suck. Yeah. But when you get snow and wind, those 12 inches of snow turn into 36 inches of snow.
3 foot
in
drifts.
Some spots.
Yeah.
So, funny enough, I had to shovel out the studio because there was a 3-foot drift against the door.
Right.
As opposed to my back door that I was able to get out of.
Right.
So that was super interesting. But speaking of a lot of snow, we have a guest who's from Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
Who they notoriously get tons of snow.
Well, it's almost Canada.
It is almost Canada. We talk about that in the episode. Also, this is the second time trying to get an interview with him. Because the first time there was a nasty windstorm and well, I don't know if we speak about it on the episode, but maybe I'll make it the intro.
Well, it led to the episode.
Again, we'll Tarantino it.
Right. It led to the episode with Gavin Lacey, correct?
Yeah. It
so
was.
If you guys remember that episode that we had with Gavin and Lacey,
we weren't stood up by him.
Yes, we were stood up by someone else. He had technical difficulties.
Yes, and we're glad to say that he is okay.
Yes, this is Tom from Humble Braggers.
Indeed, very cool band, pop, rock.
Dance.
Tons of layers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of soundscapes, a lot of things going on, and we're really excited to talk to him. And it turns out that we just have a ton of stuff in common. So it's really just a bunch of bros. And
this is another bromance.
This is a possible other bromance. I mean, now we might be able to have people vote on the bromance.
Right. It's not like a runaway, like, oh man, these guys are in love.
I think what we need to do is maybe have AJ back on and be like, hey, you got to step up your bromance game, because
that's true.
There are heirs to the throne.
There are people nipping at your heels, my friend.
Yeah. So
we should have all the bromances on for one show. Where we just all
talk about
geek out
stuff
for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might have to happen.
Well, with that said, let's get to the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. So
you can call this one. I'm kidding.
I don't believe you. So we got a new sponsor.
Yeah, sweet balls, bro.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm pretty sure you can guess by that conversation that our new sponsor is Manscaped.
Yes, Manscaped, a company that I'm very familiar with.
Me too.
Few years now. I've been using their products, and I tell you what, my marbles have never been shinier.
I actually got their lawnmower 3.0.
Yes.
Which it has skin safe technology, and they've just upgraded to the 4.0. And let me tell you, I love the 3.0, but the 4.0 is just so much better. It's got a light on it. Do I really need a light? Yes, you do.
Visual aids.
Yeah,
Visual aids are
absolutely do.
Sometimes,
for sure.
Sometimes in those crevices, that upper leg, inner crease.
Yes, agreed.
It's a tough spot. So the Perfect Package 4.0 contains the Lawnmower 4.0.
Yes.
But one of the things that I am a big fan of is the Crop Reviver.
Yes.
They call it. It is. They call it the Ball Spray Toner.
Yes. So it's
those marbles.
What else is in the Perfect package as well is the ball deodorant.
Yes.
It's the Crop Preserver. It's an anti-chafing. So when you walk a lot, I don't know about you, but sometimes I get the chafing. I should probably lose weight, but instead I use this.
I'm just a fan. I've always been a fan. I was super excited when you told me that we got the email from them saying that we could now offer a discount to our listeners.
Yes.
I thought that was super cool. So
and men and women can use it too.
Absolutely. It's not just a man thing.
So if you want, you can get 20% off.
Yeah,
your order now.
A big deal.
That's a big deal.
Pretty awesome.
Use the promo code BaconPod. You get 20% off at manscaped.com. So go ahead to manscaped.com. Save yourself 20%.
Yeah.
Use the promo code
BaconPod.
And make your marbles clean.
20%
and shiny.
Check it out, manscaped.com. Highly recommended and used by your boys here at Bacon Is My Podcast. Like I said, keep those marbles shiny.
Whoop, whoop.
Mm-hmm.
I am Flo Shomo from My Top 5 Podcast, and you have been listening. This is what happens when I have to do intros to our podcast, you bastards. You're just watching.
Total red light panic. I love it.
We love it.
I'm Flo Shomo. Oh, you just interrupted me now. Yeah. You just interrupted the swing. Who is this guy? Who is this guy?
Shut your mouth.
I'm Flo Shomo from My Top 5 Podcast, and you've been consuming Bacon Is My Podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Bacon Is My Podcast.
Solid.
I had to go. I took my breath. I used my diaphragm on the hay.
You did. You did. It was like a snare hit.
It was like a snare.
Made my eyes blink.
Yeah. It's like when you're trying to get like a nice vocal line, it's a low, slow part, and you like attack the beginning,
right?
And then your producer's like, stop that,
right?
just like that. Welcome to Bacon is My Podcast. Today we have lead singer of Humble Braggers, Mr. Tom Burtless. What's going on, dude?
Hello, gentlemen.
What's going on? You're coming to us from Buffalo?
That is correct. I'm coming from oh my God. I'm coming to you. See, I needed the warm up. I need this warm up.
See?
I need the hey, like, goddamn.
There you go.
I'm coming to you from
Mama Moose.
I forgot to do my warm ups before this.
See? There you go.
Yeah, I know. God. Yes, I'm coming to you from very, very cold Buffalo, New York. Actually, it's not horrible today, but it is still pretty cold.
And you're in your new home.
I'm in my new home.
You're in your new home, which is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we've been here now just about a month and a half. We've been here. And the first thing I set up, of course, was the room that we're in, my like home studio room. Of course,
I love the wood. Like if you're watching this, you can see how cool this room is. But if you're on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can just hear it. Which I will describe to you how awesome his color scheme is. We've got the black walls. We got the nice dark wood paneling going on. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's a cherry wood. It looks a little funny in the camera. It's actually a very dark green, which actually looks even better with the wood in person.
Nice.
Yeah, and this way, like in front of me, I have like synths and like my monitors and my universal audio that I'm recording through and all the fun gadgetry. Yeah.
Well, we kind of touched on that in the 7 questions. Which the gadgetry is absolutely the most important thing.
The gadgetry is strong in this group.
Yeah. Like I have my studio here in my garage, and same thing. Like back there is all the fun stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking a little bit about in the 7 questions,
right? How
we're Helix guys, and you are a head rush guy.
Yes.
So for the listeners who don't know, basically instead of having 100 different amps and bringing them on tour with you,
right?
It's one thing, what is it, 18 by 12 box that you just bring around with you, and it has all those 100 amps in them and all the pedals,
right?
You know, what brought you to downsizing? What inspired you to do that? Because like it took me a little while. He actually got me to do it.
Oh, really?
Which is odd. He's the complete opposite. He was like amps and this and that, and then all of a sudden he brings this in, and I'm like, what? You're a convert? Okay.
So for me, I've always been I learned how to start recording. So I'm 31. I learned how to start recording music when I was probably about like 14 or 15 with like Reason and a shitty Behringer mixer, and that was like my audio interface with a horrible, 2 in, 2 out USB whatever. All the wonderful things that were available like 15 years. I look at like what like a 17-year-old has at their disposal now for like, give that kid like for $500. Like that person can make like an incredible sounding record for $500. And I know that I shouldn't even talk. Yeah, exactly. Right. I know that I shouldn't even talk because like for the fact that I even had like a mixer in my house, like when I was 14, as opposed to like you said it to someone who was like,
you weren't fast texting it on a 4-track.
Right. And I had friends at the time who were doing that too.
I was that guy.
Yeah. But no, I don't know. But I've always kind of liked the digital stuff. I've liked the Line 6 stuff for a long time. I had Pod Farm. That was like one of the first things I bought when I had like my first job, using that to like do demos and stuff like that. Actually, truth be told, our first EP, our first 2 EPs, all the guitar and bass stuff is all Pod Farm.
Nice.
I was still using all that shit, and it sounded fine enough. The Vox AC30 sim that I was using sounded okay enough that I was like, all right, whatever. And then of course, like people that were like huge, I felt a lot of pride in that because people that were like huge gearheads would be like, what did you like? Where'd you go? What did you use? And I'm just it's like $100 piece of software.
There's no bleed. Mics.
So I will always kind of like that stuff, but we use real like amps and stuff. We used a Vox AC30. I had an Ignator tweaker that I love to death.
Those are nice,
and I always use line 6 effects like the M6 and things like that.
Mhm.
And it worked for a while. I think we decided to kind of make the change. We went to in-ear monitors about 2 years ago. And to do all that, we have this behemoth of like a rack system that has like a Soundcraft mixer in it and all this stuff. And I was like, we can either like try to mic up I was like trying to think through it, how we could do it with real amps and all that stuff. I'm like, to try to do this realistically at like a local show, we're opening for this band, or if we're running the show, we're the headlining, like sure, yeah, we can take our time and run it. But I'm like, we're gonna be able to use this like half the time. So I was like, well, what if we just switched completely and just went with units? So to test it, we tried out the line 6 HD stuff because I could just rack it, and it was fine. It was good enough for like what I was trying to test. So I was like, this can work out, but we need something that sounds a little bit better. I was going to go Helix. I was this close. But I found someone was selling a Headrush pedal board for like $600 on Reverb. Like it's $500 off.
Yeah.
Let me see if I like it. Bought it, and I absolutely fell in love with it. So now that's our like guitar player. He uses that. I have the little MX5, the one they just came out with, like the tiny one, because I don't really play guitar. I sing mostly.
Yeah.
And then our bass player we have using a gig board. And honestly, like tone wise, especially with the in-ears and everything, we have not sounded this good ever. And it's just so every sound guy loves us, because I'm like, here's our 16 outs. They're all labeled. Bye. And they're like, oh, great, cool. I don't have to do it. Like, I just have to raise them up.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's funny because like when we first got into that, like especially with local shows, guys would look at me and I just need a 1/4 inch, and they're like, no, well, the mic is over there. And it's like, well,
yeah,
give me the XLR out of the back of it so I can plug it in. And he's like, what are you doing? Why? What? No. I'm used to like the mic. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's gonna be good. And then probably like 2 or 3 months later, when everybody started going that way, it was completely different, and all the sound guys are like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, I had a couple conversations with sound guys, and I found that like as soon as I go in, if I go, you know what, it's going to be super easy for you. You're going to love us because all I need is your XLR. And then they're like, oh, yeah, cool. And I'm like, yeah, you know how this works. And they're like, yeah, I know how this works.
yeah.
And we don't have to even have the conversation.
Yeah. I think it depends. I mean, when we started doing it, this was like, oh my God, maybe like the end of 2018, we did the Pod HD test or something like that. Somewhere around there. Maybe end of 2019, I forget. Doesn't matter. But I think it was still, depending on where we played. If we played, we've opened for big bands in Buffalo, and we've opened for national acts and stuff like that. Anytime we've worked with those kind of people, they get it.
Yeah,
that's not a hard. Easy. Yeah, because, and I'm not trying to talk shit, but it's they have endured enough crazy situations, and the bands that we've opened for, I mean, we do synth poppy kind of stuff. So there's an inherent like complexity of like, here's where our keys and our backing tracks, here's this and that and the other thing. We use a lot of effects, yada, yada, yada. But we've opened for bands that were in that vein. And so the sound guys we were working with were like, oh, I already know that. I already know whatever. But we would go headline a show at a bar that's like normally like it's like blues dudes showing up with their vintage Fender amp. And like, that's what those guys know. And here I show up with like this giant, huge box of rack gear and like no amps on stage, and like this like 6-year-old sound guy's like, what the hell am I supposed to do with any of this?
Right.
And that's not as fun, but we've made it work. So
yeah, awesome. Yeah. So you brought up about you set up your studio and stuff like that. Your latest record just came out the day before my birthday.
Oh,
actually,
wow.
This past year.
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah. Thank you. So Love and Fear came out the day before that, or on November 11th. So how much of a hand did you guys have in recording that record, especially since it was worked on for 2 years and through the pandemic, right?
Yeah. So when we we started on that. So we put out an EP called Cycle in the end of 2018. We put out a single called Far Away pretty shortly after. We started working on these songs probably, my God, like early 2019. We started what is the second last track on the album Push and Pull. We started that in like early 2019, which I think about now is like absolutely insane. But it's definitely the longest, and it's the longest we've ever sat with material. I shouldn't say sat. That sounds like we like finished it all and sat on it for. It's the longest we've had to like live in material that we were working on and working through and all that stuff, which was kind of nice. And also, it was great and horrible and everything in between. But when we work, you know, so I have a studio, my keyboard player, we all have home studios to some degree. We recorded most of it, well, not here, but with my home studio. And we recorded a lot of the other stuff. My keyboard player has his home studio as well. We both have a lot of keyboards and a lot of like equipment that were all over the record. The only thing we did in an actual studio was drums. It's the only thing that we, you know, you need 16 mics, you need a good room, you need right. And we didn't want to like half-ass that part of it. Cause like that, I feel like that's like the tell. Like you can do guitars pretty well at a home studio. You can do bass, keys, you can do vocals really well. But as soon as you hear drums come in, like, you know, whether or not they really like, you know, poured some time into that. And so that was the only thing that we didn't do ourselves. But everything else we tracked. And then we had it mixed and mastered by a friend of ours whose name is Matt Step.
Awesome. Nice. Does everybody live around each other, or are you guys doing a lot of stuff like by sending stuff to each other? Do you get together to work parts out, or like how's that? Especially during the pandemic and stuff. How did you guys?
Sure. So when we were in the start of the pandemic, we were all, you know, like anyone. Well, I guess like anyone who took it very seriously. We all were very locked down. We all we didn't see each other for about like 2-3 months. And luckily we all have we all kind of work in our own way, which works out for this band where, you know, we all start ideas. I think like the basic way anything works in the band is one of us starts an idea, we throw it up, we have a Google Drive that we all share. And then, you know, we'll start, you know, taking pieces out of that. We'll all put up stems and work through it. We'll put up the MIDI files, and I can run stuff through my keyboard and change things like that. And that's kind of how we worked for those like couple of months. But after that, we probably got together like once or twice a week to work through songs, to work through ideas. Some stuff we kind of like percussion, anything like that. I leave to Matt, our drummer. You know, there may be small things I have a say in, and vice versa. You know, for me, lyrics and vocal melody, that's usually on me. There are some small things here and there where that's definitely changed, and the guys have brought in ideas, or I've brought in percussive ideas. But yeah, in the pandemic, it started with us kind of all working in isolation, then coming together after that to put all the finishing touches on everything.
We'll be right back.
All right, Jimsy, you think grilling season is over?
Almost, right?
No. Grilling season is never over because of a new sponsor of ours.
Ooh, what is it?
GrillYourAssOff.com.
I love the name already.
Yeah. It's a veteran-owned company that sells spices, barbecue sauces, cool swag, even cookbooks.
Oh, you know what? You sent me a link to that. I checked it out. That was awesome. They had some cool recipes right on their site. That was pretty awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's for free. But now that they're a sponsor, they've decided that if you use the promo code BACON, you get 10% off your order.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm ready. I'm definitely ordering some spices. They had a couple that looked really killer.
Yeah, and it's really, there's so many different selections that there's really a spice for everybody. The guys that are like heat heads, and even the people that just want something subtle, delicious, sweet, whatever it is, they've got something for everybody.
Awesome. Did we order any? Did we have any coming?
We've got some coming.
Nice.
And we're going to do some tasting episodes over on the Patreon.
Awesome. So
with
stick
a little
around.
Bit of grill your ass off stuff.
Stick around, everyone, because once we get those in, we're going to taste them, we're going to go through them, and then we're going to let you know what we think, and maybe give you some choices that we would kind of go for.
So once again, head over to grillyourassoff.com, use that promo code BACON, and get 10% off.
Sweet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? WWE Hall of Famer
the Godfather here, and you've been consuming Bacon Is My Podcast.
Yeah, that's cool. Like I feel like a lot of bands had to try and shift, and if you weren't into home recording at all, you were getting into home recording right away. Like you were getting, I don't know how many Scarlets they probably sold.
Oh my God, man!
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I mean, but you said that you've been recording since you were like 15 and stuff like that. Did anybody else have to go through the learning curve, or was everybody just like, cool, we're good, let's do it?
I think Matt, my drummer, Tom, my keyboard player, and we all have done this for maybe not the same amount of time, but we've all done it for a considerable amount of time. I think our bassist Brian he's done it before, but definitely not as experienced. I'm not trying to talk any shit of Brian, but even with his, I would say, like more limited setup, he still would track ideas, send stuff my way, and then if stuff had to be retracked, we would do it at my place or at Tom's place or wherever it made the most sense. Mm-hmm. And I think in all this too, we all went through, like, my God, I went through so many different rig changes of everything. Like everything I have now, I changed the pandemic because when I was around it all the time, because this is like, I'm a software developer as in my profession. And so this is also my like work from home desk. And so like learning very quickly the limitations of what I had before and in totality, I definitely like switched up a ton of stuff like halfway through recording, which was also kind of a nightmare for the dude who was mixing.
Wow.
But
well, it's funny. Yeah, we were recording my band, and at first they were like, "Well, we want to do a record, we want to do an EP, whatever it is." And I was like, "Let's just do singles. Like singles is kind of the way things are going, and this and that.
Right.
And wait until we get a nice repertoire, and then we'll put like when those songs are kind of done, then we can put a record out."
Right.
And my drummer, like right in the middle of recording, he's like, "I got new cymbals." I was like, "Cool. I hope you can wait another month or so before you start hearing how they sound." What do you mean? It's like, you're not changing your cymbals in the middle of recording. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. That's the drummer thing, though.
Well, not entirely, because I had just to add my story to that. In the middle of recording our very first record, my guitar player decided in the middle of recording one song on the record, coming in the second day of lead guitar day, he sold his guitar and bought a different one.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't even have full takes of like all the parts yet. So we were going in and he was finishing parts that he had started the day before that we hadn't made sure were keepers yet. And we were like, "What did you just do?
Oh my God.
What just happened?" And then years later on our recording that happened a few years ago, we went into the studio and he came in the third day of recording with a new head because he had sold his head.
Oh my
God.
This
is right before we went to the Line 6s.
Yeah.
And that was one of the catalysts. Was I was like, "No more. We're going digital, and you've got every head you want, and that's fine." And we're just we're saving, and we're moving forward.
Save every patch you have.
Yeah,
because it was like twice that happened, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Oh man,
that's the beauty of digital. It's consistency for all the non-recording nuts out there.
Consistency is key.
Yeah,
that is true. I tried to keep it. So I switched to, I had a Focusrite interface for a while. And I switched at the end of, end of 2020, I think. I switched to a Universal Audio, which is, oh my God, not to get so nerdy and whatever, but like,
right.
What an absolute, truly the only like gear like that I could ever say is like what a game changer for me and my workflows and everything that I do. But yeah, I made a point, even though I liked a lot of stuff that was built into that, and a lot of the Universal Audio plugins are absolutely incredible. I was like, all right, I have to keep the same like signal chain, because if I do this now, like a dude who's mixing everything's going to sound different. It's going to be weird. Right. And I know like I have such a neurosity about that stuff that I'm going to want to go back and like, all right, well, I got to retract the stuff that we already
I got to redo all this
because it sounds so good. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And I was like, you know what? We can have our fun. I can have my fun after, and we can do stuff for whatever comes next. But for now, I have to keep it.
Well, because the person that's really going to hear it is you. You're going to hear it every time.
Oh yeah, totally.
You're going to listen to it, and you're going to be like, God damn it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And then you'll point it out to other people that would have never known.
And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I guess I kind of hear that."
Like, exactly. Oh, you like this? You like this song a lot? Yeah. Well, here comes the bridge where there's a brand new synth sound. All of a sudden.
Yeah. Oh man.
You're like, so in your synths and stuff like that, you guys use a lot of them. How much of it is done analog, and because you were talking about going to Guitar Center and
yeah.
So like that. So how much of it is analog, and how much of it is fun
VSTIs and stuff like that? Yeah. So when we started getting into that stuff, it was all VSTI. I didn't own any. I didn't own any synths until probably 6 years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And I will say, in speaking of that, luckily, like synths are a thing you can get away with, like changing throughout a record, because you use different tones, you use different, as long as the parts that are doing the part stay the same. But it's funny that you say that, because my keyboard player, in the making of this record, he had a song that he had composed mostly himself, and then he wrote the vocal melody, he wrote a lot of the stuff to it, and then we were kind of like peppering stuff on top of that and adding some stuff on to it. But there's a bunch of stuff he tracked. He had an apartment that had the worst ground hum ever, and a bunch of the stuff that he sent me, I'm like, Tom, like we can't do, like this is insane. Like I can hear the buzz, like no matter what I do. So we tried to retrack a bunch of it, and I'd be like, all right, well, we have to retrack this part. And he's like, oh, well, I sold the keyboard that did that. It's like, all right, great, cool. So we'd have to find. Oh my God, no, that was like that was a very specific case, and there was a few others where I actually was the one at fault where I sold a few cents, but I'd say this new record is definitely the most analog and virtual and like external synths. There's a few patches on a few songs that are a little bit older that I like the patch so much through the plugin that I was like, you know what, instead of like killing myself to try to find something through one of the actual physical synths I own, like print it. It sounds good. If it sounds good, it sounds good. I think we're at the point now where I'm happy we have we have all the Arturia stuff, which is like a crazy huge synth collection of vintage stuff. I'm happy to have it for playing live and to fill any gaps that we have. But I'm looking at 3 synths right now. I have one in the closet that's actually not even out here. Tom has 4 or 5. Matt has an old Sonic from the 80s. We have we can cover pretty much everything with our physical gear. And I think we're trying to do that now. We're trying to use less plug-in stuff. The only annoyance with that comes with playing live, because then I basically go back in, because we don't use any of our, I'm not going to use, I have a Oberheim from the 80s. I'm not bringing that to the show. And so, I end up like sampling the keyboards I own to then play them through a MIDI controller, and that feels kind of ridiculous. So, at this point, I don't dismiss anyone who uses they sound great. They sound pretty accurate. It's like all this stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah.
The guitar stuff, 10, 15 years ago, would anyone be using like the pod, like a serious band be using like the pod through like on a live show? Like probably not, but like the Helix stuff sounds amazing. And the Headrush stuff, all that stuff sounds so good that like it finally is at a place where you're like, you know what? The convenience outweighs the minor discretion I have with how it sounds.
Yeah. I would even say that like aside, even more so than the convenience is just, again, the consistency.
Oh, totally. All of it.
Knowing what my guitar is going to sound like to someone in the audience, and hearing that same sound to me and knowing that no matter where I go, it's going to be that same sound is worth everything that I ever lost in selling my 800 and selling my like Bassman, like all those amps that like I've had and absolutely loved and stuff.
Yeah, man.
But someone pointed it out to me once. They were like, you've never heard your guitar, right? And I was like, what? They were like, you've never heard what your guitar sounds like to an audience ever.
Yeah.
You've heard your guitar
Sure.
on the other side of the stage, maybe hitting you in the knees if you hear it at all, or you hear it mic and through a monitor in front of you anyway, and then it's affected and they take all the bass out of it so that you can actually be heard to an audience. You don't even know what's going out to the audience. And I was just like, I'm stupid and I need to learn these things. Because I was in the mindset of like, oh man, if it hits me in the back, it sounds good, and it's
right.
Well, no, that's not.
There's so much shit wrapped up in that of like the aesthetics of like I grew up as someone who loved like emo and all that shit, and I remember like I can't tell you, and this is like a thing that's been happening since the 80s, but like how many bands I've seen with empty 4x12s on stage, and there's like they're actually playing through like a 1x12 combo amp that's behind it, like crazy, ridiculous shit.
That was Brian May famously. Famously was that he threw a Vox like AC-15 or something like that. That he had on stage, like on a folding chair, mic'd, and then a big wall of fake Marshalls.
Yeah,
it's good enough for Queen.
Yeah, right. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I think that's really the genesis for everything was the in-ear stuff, but I'm so happy to be in it now. And the in-ear stuff too. I mean, I know it's still not cheap. It's not crazy cheap or anything like that, but having that now is such a game changer too, of like, even if the sound guy is maybe not making us sound as good as we can be, like there's nothing worse than like showing up to a show and you have like either no monitors or like the worst monitors ever, and you just have to go by kind of what you think is happening to the crowd. Like that sucks. I've been there I've played for such for the majority of my life, and like that is horrible. That's such a nightmare. And to now at least have that thing where I'm like, I control this. We know we sound good. The patches are dialed in on the head rushes. We know that we can hear ourselves and at least deliver, whatever. I think that goes such a distance too.
Commercial break. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. And before we get into this week, if one episode just isn't enough for you and you need a little bit more Bacon is My Podcast, head on over to patreon.com/Bacon is My Podcast. Over there, you will get access to monthly live streams, discounts on merch, early and commercial-free access to Bacon is My Podcast episodes. Some of them are even extended surprise giveaways, additional shows, including Tasting is My Passion, and, of course, Cooking with Bacon is My Passion. And oh yeah, you get a crap ton of music. That's right, all of Jimmy and Mike's bands, previous, current, whatever it is, you will get access to that music, demos, and much, much more. Just head on over to patreon.com/Bacon is My Podcast and learn what the hoopla is all about.
This is Skaggs from Outline and Color, and you're consuming Bacon is My Podcast.
Did you ever feel that having in-ears, well, depending on how you use them, I guess, but did you ever feel that it took you away from the audience experience?
I think so. I think, we're constantly working at tweaking that kind of stuff. I would love to get to a place where we have a more, I would love to have like a shotgun mic on stage if I was really going to be like crazy about it and pulling a little bit of the noise. I think it's the only thing that's hard is to fully sense like the crowd reaction, because you're really just getting like anything you're either visually seeing it or you're hearing it through like your mic or like maybe the drum mics or whatever, so it's very like minute, and that's a little that's makes me a little
shaky. That's the I tried using in-ears and I took them on tour. And when I got back, I was like, I love these. I can't use these. There's no way I can do it. Just because it was great when we had times where there was no monitors or so that they weren't saying, oh, just move up a little bit. And I was like, I can't have the mains behind me.
Right.
And we definitely played a lot of those shows, but still, it's like any show where there was a crowd, it was just especially on tour where you're not in front of your home crowd, so you're like everything. At least for me, being like an insecure singer, I'm like, I need to know whether this is working or not, and I have no idea. So I came back, but that was years ago. So that was like years and years ago that I tried them. So I know that they're better, and I know that systems are better now. But it was like it took me completely out of it. So anytime a singer tells me that they use them, I'm like, oh man, how did you?
I think it, depending on the gig, I'll pop one out. You know what I mean? Like some gigs that I know that are like, I got to feel this a little bit more. There's like, we played Rochester a ton because it's right around the corner. And I remember one gig in particular, like I could tell that the crowd, but I couldn't hear it super well. And it was like right when I just started, like maybe the first show I used in-ears. And I had to pop one out because I was just like, I have to hear this. And it worked out really, really well. I think there's some shows I need it, some shows I don't. It just really depends. I think, like I said, in a perfect world, I'd love a shotgun mic of just the crowd noise if I could get it. I've heard crazy stories of like big acts, like a U2 level act, using like, they not only have packs on them, but they also have lav mics that would be picking up like the sound that they'd be hearing if they didn't have an in-ear monitor from their thing. So they're feeding that into their in-ear mix, which is so like ridiculous, but honestly it makes sense.
Their belt packs look like Batman utility belt. They got so many...
Fucking Bono. Yeah, I mean, I do the in-ear thing too, but like I do a lot of screaming, but popping the one ear out is essential because my scream in my in-ears just sounds completely different than what I'm used to hearing, to knowing where my spot is. And it's like, okay, where am I throat am I hitting? And it's like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that because
that makes sense
because I can't do that. But that does make sense. That would be hard to gauge.
Shifting gears just a little bit.
Yeah,
totally.
You brought up Rochester.
Yes.
You are a foodie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Have you gotten a garbage plate from Nick Tahoe's?
Oh, of course I have. Absolutely I have. I've gotten a garbage plate mildly sober. I've gotten a garbage plate that I don't remember. I've gotten everything in between.
I went up to Rochester to see a friend a long time ago. And we got Nick Tahoe's, and he's like, how much did you have to drink? And I said, well, enough. And he's like, okay, get a second garbage plate. And I said, why?
Wow, second.
So I got it. And so the first one I devoured because I was to soak it all up. I woke up the next morning, had a little bit of the hangover going. That second garbage plate in the morning, cold with hot sauce, was a life changer. And it sucks because Rochester's 6 hours away from us.
Sure.
But can't just go there to get one.
Yeah. But yeah.
Tom,
can
you describe what a garbage plate is?
I absolutely can. So a garbage plate, and we have a few spots that finally do them in Buffalo. It like took a way longer than it should. Like two things to come to Buffalo. I'm sorry, this is a quick aside before I get into it.
Yeah, no.
Things that took being this close to Rochester and being this close to Toronto in Canada. Like I'm so close to Toronto. It's like an hour and a half away, but I'm so close to like the border to Canada that it's truly like I drive south like 20 minutes like that way, and I can get on a bridge and I'm in Canada. But being that close, like finding mildly good poutine and a mildly good garbage plate took so goddamn long to get here. It finally feels like you can maybe get like a decent one here of both of those things, but like holy shit.
Yeah, poutine's a tough one to find.
That was just a tough one to find. Yeah, I mean, I will say we went to before Matt, my drummer, had his daughter. We took a boys like road trip to Montreal and had like a smoked meat poutine up there, which was some good stuff. Nice. But to get back to matter at hand, a garbage plate it's usually a base of French fries. And then it's kind of like a mix and match thing. Everyone has their own preferences. Usually you do like hot dogs or hamburgers on it. And then you either do like potato or mac salad is usually a pretty, and then you do like ketchup and mustard on top of it. Some people do like swap mac salad for either potato salad or coleslaw. I've seen it in a few places. Some places have like a mix and match option. My order is mac salad, fries, of course, cheeseburgers, and then ketchup and mustard. And that is the move.
I did the hot sauce on it, and because hot sauce is my thing.
Yeah.
And man, that was incredible. It was awesome when you were wasted, because I mean, everything's awesome when you're wasted. And then it cured my hangover. Therefore, it was awesome.
I've never had a garbage plate.
Oh so, man, we got
now. I gotta ask, after me telling you what it is, are you more interested or less interested in trying one?
Well, I'm more interested in trying one because the description was kind of like, what, why, and so that makes me go, I need to see what that's about, because it doesn't. I don't hear it and go, man, that sounds good. I hear it and I go, all right, okay. Well,
man, I'm gonna have heartburn after that.
and what's funny about Nick Tahoe's too is my buddy was like, just you got to go in, you got to know what you want, because they don't fuck around. And I'm like,
no, they do not.
It's like you step up, and if you don't have that order in 20 seconds, the guy behind you is already ordered.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's like intense there, and it's like
I do not do well. I do not do well in places like
that. I think that it comes with a level of understanding. Like I've been there enough. So my spot's probably Dogtown. They do there's a billion places that do a garbage plate in Rochester. I like Dogtown a lot. They also offer, Dogtown at least offers like a vegetarian options instead of like a Beyond Burger or like whatever. Yeah. And so like two of the guys in the band are vegetarians, so I appreciate them appeasing that. But yeah, Nick, like, because they're the ones that were always open the latest, like open to like 4 or 5. And so we play a show at this place called the Bug Jar, which is a super awesome venue. One of my favorite places to play ever. Just kind of feels like a kind of divey place, but like I've seen some of my favorite shows there. I've played probably my favorite Humble Bragger shows there. But we would routinely go there after because it wasn't super far away. But they have to put up with the worst people at like 3 a.m. that like, you know what? Fair enough. They got to like, those people behind the counter are very thick skinned, and understandably so, that they're going to be like, you better know. Like,
right. Yeah.
I'm prepared. I'm not going to deal with your crazy drunk ass.
Right.
Yeah.
Come in ready.
Right. There's a place here called Jim's Steakout that does, they're I would say they're probably known most for their chicken finger sub. It's like a big thing here. And that is a similar kind of deal. There's a bunch of them around. They're all open they were, well, not anymore since COVID, but they used to be open till like 5 a.m. And if you walked in that place at 4 a.m, like you could be walking into like a minefield of like very crazy, weird people. And I don't know how any of those people worked behind that counter and dealt with that, but it's a very similar deal. So I think knowing that, Nick's wasn't a hard, I understood where they were coming from.
Yeah.
So I've been to I've been up in the Buffalo area a couple of times, but mostly when I was younger. I live in New Hampshire and stuff, but I always find it interesting. I watch a lot of like food shows, and I try and find the food items from different places and kind of see what regional things are like the special. Sure. And Buffalo is always interesting to me because aside from, of course, the wings, when you get past that, it's almost like I see a lot of stuff that is just a mix of many different things put into an item. It'll be like the chicken finger sandwich. Sub. It'll be okay, this sub has chicken fingers and fries and mozzarella sticks, and then it also has like shaved beef on it. And you're like, why? What? What is that? I'll have one, but what is it? Why?
I can't say. I will say. I don't know if anyone that I will say our standard chicken finger sub is much more docile than what you just described. But I'm very interested in what you just described. I don't know what that says about me.
But why do you think that is? That Buffalo is just it's just like the punk rock food. It's like anything goes.
Yeah. I don't, when people talk about the stuff that we're known for, I feel like we usually, like I said, being part of knowing like the Buffalo food scene for a while now, the three things that were most commonly attributed to is obviously the wings. Wings come first. Anchor Bar and Duff's are always the first in conversation. They both suck. Everyone knows that they suck. If you're from Buffalo, you know that they suck. Duff's is fine. Anchor Bar is horrible. Barbell and East Aurora is a real spot. But that's a hold. So I'm not going to do this to you guys. I don't want to talk about. I don't need to talk to yourself about wings. Oh man,
dude, we love wings.
We love.
Oh
wings.
God, listen, you guys. I'll give you my number. If you're ever up here, I will take you on a personal tour of where you need to eat chicken wings in Buffalo. I promise you that.
Challenge accepted.
Done. We'll do the same for you here. We'll bring you for pizzas and.
Oh please do. But we're known for like three things. We're known for wings. We're known for pizza. Our unique brand of pizza, and then beef on weck seems to be commonly attributed to us.
I've actually never heard of that.
What?
I've never heard on that. What is it?
So it's beef. It's like roast beef, cooked a little bit in like an au jus, and then it's on a Kimmel weck roll. It's like a little bit like a saltier roll, and that's like a very specific part of it. But that's like the deal. It's very good. I've had it.
Isn't it an onion roll as well, or is that not a weck? For some reason, I thought a weck was a salted roll, but it was like an onion roll.
It's salted, but I don't know. There's something else on there, but I don't think it's onion. I think some places do that, but I think a traditional one is it's salted roll, and then there's whatever the hell Kimmel. I don't know, some part of some other seasoning. I have no idea what it is. That has it has a saltiness to it that definitely just like makes the sandwich for sure.
Yeah, it's not the same thing without the roll at all.
Yeah,
you got to do the roll. You got to do the roll, and you got to usually people, depending on where you go, people are sticklers for horseradish on it too. That's a big thing. But those, if you go into like kind of like a divey bar or whatever, like those, maybe not the pizza, but the wings and the beef on weck, like that's. You'll see that shit pretty much everywhere here because that's like those are the staples. Absolutely,
it's a good staples.
Yeah, I want beef on weck too.
A good beef sandwich, wings, pizza. What?
Yeah, man.
What else do you need?
It's the three food groups.
I think that's to go back to your point though, like absolutely with Jameson. Yeah. Jameson and a blue light or a blue. Go full blue. Why not? Yeah. You're already eating all that shit. Like, what are you going to say about going blue?
Right.
But yeah. I get a huge Diet Coke with that too.
Right. Light on the ice.
But I think it is, it is a little punk rocky. I think it's more like where we were a town that had like, a giant Bethlehem steel, and we had like a lot of people that worked in that kind of thing. I think it's like nice utilitarian food. Like what's going to fill me? What's like a giant thick piece of pizza is going to fill me up. These like 10 wings are going to fill me up. This sandwich with a ton of like beef on it is going to like, I think it was stuff that maybe comes from that a little bit of like heavy utilitarian, like I need food. I need it to fill me up like now. That's what we're all about. And I think the other gross shit that stems from that is also lumped into that whole ideology.
That's college drunk tourism.
Goddamn.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good way to say it, for sure.
Well, any college town has a lot of weird food things.
Well, yeah, you got to soak up the booze.
You go to like a Big Ten school area. Any place that's got a big campus.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
You're gonna have a lot of like, hey, we got this weird thing. Put it all on one thing.
Yeah. Just load it up. Just like a ton of stuff. A ton of
somebody drunk at 3 a.m. was like, I want chicken fingers and I want a beef sandwich and I want fries and I want
put it on a sandwich.
Pickles. Yeah, just put it all on. Put it all on.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Wrap it in a burrito.
So I think we do need to pay some bills right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what we do, Tom, or what we have is a little sponsor called Poddex, and they've been really awesome with us since the very beginning. What Poddex are cards for starting podcasters or just people looking for good icebreakers, conversation starters, that kind of stuff. And you buy these decks. There's 50 questions in each deck, and they're really cool. Jim uses them at the bar.
Yeah, I brought them to the bar. They're conversation starters. You see someone struggling? You go, hey man, here's a drink. Here's these. Talk to each other.
But yeah, they're pretty awesome. And what we like to do, I dropped it, is ask our guest to pick from one of the decks, and then you pick the card from the deck.
And you'll get a random question.
You'll get a random question. So what we have are the interview deck, the interview deck 2, the episode deck. We have What the Heck, Would You Rather, and the 2 new decks, which are very, very nice. We have the How Dare You!
Must be said that way.
Like Mr. Bighead from Rocko's Modern Life.
Love it.
And What the Fuck, which is cool because it's got like the MTV
I like that
kind of likeness. So based on that, Tom, which one of these decks would you like to choose a question from?
Let's go with the newer one. Let's try a what was the let's go with the what the fuck deck.
Okay.
I like the MTV font. I like the light blue. That's speaking of
much like MTV, there's no music or videos in the box.
Wonderful.
But there are questions. There's a lot of questions.
And while I shuffle these up, Jim,
yes,
please let them know.
I will let our listeners know that you can go right now to poddex.com and you can check out any one of these decks. They always have new ones coming out as well. They have an app for your phone. They also have a bunch of cool swag. You can get like a podcast t-shirt. They're the soft shirts too. No crunchy shirts. Awesome. I hate crunchy shirts. Yeah, definitely good stuff. And if you use the promo code BACON,
because everything is better with bacon,
you can get 10% off your entire order.
Mm-hmm. And with that, we're gonna fan these out. Tom, he's gonna fan his finger from.
I'm starting moving
right.
You tell me.
I'll tell you stop.
All right.
Oh,
was that not a stop?
Yeah, no, that was good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Tom, from Humble Braggers, how long could you go without talking?
Oh fuck. Oh my god. Maybe I literally talk to myself. I mean, as you probably could tell from the past hour we've been talking, I talk a lot. God, that's 15 minutes. I feel like everything you guys are saying prompts a fucking story.
Which is good. That's great. That's how it's supposed to work.
Maybe not for talking, but my aunt was watching me when I was like a kid. I remember this very vividly. My aunt was watching me and told me that she'd give me $1 if I could like sit still in a chair for a minute, and I couldn't do it. And that I feel like I attribute that to like talking, all that stuff. I just can't.
Still waiting on that $1.
Still waiting on that $1. I can't. So no, I maybe 15 minutes. I truly talk out loud when I'm by myself. Yeah, I can't. I talk a lot.
Yeah, I don't know that I could go 15 minutes. I don't know if I could go 15 minutes.
Maybe that's funny.
If I'm in a room by myself and I'm not doing anything, because if I'm reading something, I'll talk in response to reading it. If I'm playing a video game, I yell at it. Yeah, I can't.
See, for me, it's weird. Like, and Jen makes fun of me all the time. I'm just not really a talker. Like, I like to survey the room, see what's going on, and then go, okay, I can deal with this person. I'm going to talk to them.
Right.
As opposed to like, hey, I'm here.
As opposed to me.
Yeah. It's why this works out so well because
I would say I'm a lot of the latter there. I'm a lot of the hey, I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that.
I have an answer for you. I didn't ask anything. That's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you got, I have answers. Are they right? I don't know.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, so we just played the fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw our new sponsor next to us at the fair.
Right.
Any of you that have ever been to festivals, one of the coolest spots to go to is that spot that's selling you sodas where the copper mugs.
Oh, they're the best.
Wild Bill's, dude.
Yes. And you don't just have to go to a fair to get their stuff anymore. You can go to drinkwildbills.com and they'll send it right to your house.
They sent that ginormous box to us.
Huge box of stuff, and it made me realize that Wild Bill's isn't just soda.
Yeah, I thought it was at first, but man, the jerky, and
nuts and coffee.
Oh man, snack foods, coffee, everything.
And if you go there now, drinkwildbills.com, use the promo code BACON, of course, and you get 10% off.
Oh, dude, check it out. Stick with us because we're going to be letting you know how that coffee tastes. We're going to be doing some tasting episodes on literally everything in the box.
Yes.
So stick with us. But, dude, you've had it. You've been at fairs. I've bought it. I bought that mug. It's awesome. I love it.
And now, again, we're heading into the winter months. It's going to get a little colder. No more fairs. Just have it delivered right to your door.
Drinkwildbills.com.
Yeah.
Easy for me to say. Once. Check it out. Promo code BACON.
Hey, I'm Kenny from Youth in Revolt, and I'm really bad at this and don't remember, but I know it's called Bacon is My Podcast or something like that because I'm really nervous. And thank you guys for watching it. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Something that is in our pre-done questions so we haven't really gotten to any of them. We usually
sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
When things are going like
these
rough,
are the in case of disaster break glass.
Yeah, but there's one on here that I have to ask because my son, huge Jurassic Park fan.
Oh, all right.
So we heard about your Jurassic Park tattoo.
Yeah.
Yes.
What other pop culture things do you possibly have tattoos of?
Any other pop culture tattoos?
What kind of
So well, you know what? Shit, we're on the thing. I can quickly pop this hoodie off.
Right.
It's the only tattoo I have. You can kind of can't really. I don't have a good way of showing. You can kind of see it. It's Mr. DNA from Jurassic Park.
Oh, nice.
That is awesome.
Is right here. It was.
Oh, what a good choice. Nice.
It was, I wanted a thing. So Jurassic Park's been my favorite movie since I was a kid. I was 4 when it came out. I'm pretty sure I saw it whenever we got the VHS, no, I was 3 when it came out. Whenever we got the VHS, I definitely saw it though.
Right.
And it just quickly became dinosaurs were my thing, as any kid loves dinosaurs, but like it just stuck with me. And I think I got the tattoo because I do love the movie. It's my favorite movie since I was a kid. And I realized as I got older, I liked it a lot as a kid because I love dinosaurs. And I like it a lot as an adult because the writing is very good and it's about very applicable underlying concepts. Like, Jeff Goldblum's whole monologue about like science being about like, could have and not should have is like such a great thing. And I love that so much more as I get older. And yeah, all of it. It's so good. This is the only I've had other ideas for tattoos. I've tried to think through things that are music related without being like super cheesy.
Right.
I just don't never want I liked that it was Mr. DNA because if you know, I wasn't going to get the Jurassic Park logo. I wasn't going to get I was going to get into giant T-Rex or whatever. And I think I like those kind of things that are a little bit more of a subtle nod. It's enough of a thing that if I go to a bar or I go to wherever and they see it, it's, 1 out of every 5 people will be like, is that the thing from and I'm that's enough. That's great.
I like Mr. DNA. That's great.
Yeah, when I saw that it was a Jurassic Park tattoo, I was like, I wonder if it's the, like you said, I didn't get the logo. And I was like, oh, well, that's good.
I considered
I'm pretty sure my son wants to get one.
I considered a raptor claw on my calf. I didn't get it.
That'd be cool.
A raptor claw on my calf because I'm also a fan of Jurassic Park. Now, a number of years ago, if you've gotten and anybody that's home now has the new TVs, super high def TVs, right?
Yeah.
And at first, when they started coming out, you couldn't turn off what I like to call the Telemundo view, where everything looks like a soap opera. It's way too high def to where it looks like something you filmed on a camcorder and then put on TV.
Yes. Yeah.
And I saw Jurassic Park on TV and I was so upset by it because I was like, no, this is ruining it. It just looks, I need it to be hazed. I need it fuzzed out.
Yeah. It was the same with Jaws too. Remember when I first got that new TV and everybody walked in, I was watching Jaws and I was like, this is a disaster.
This is ruining
it.
Why is ruining it? Why?
I don't know what it was. So like my first job, I worked at Target and I sold, I pushed carts and then I sold TVs. I remember like I worked there when this all kind of started to happen. And so like whatever, like 60 hertz was the standard, but then a lot of TVs were like doing like 120 hertz refresh rate, but it's like non-human. So it like smooths everything out and it like looks like everything's like going faster than it should. Like I had a horrible way of explaining it, but like we had people like complain about this and I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. Like it's just, I don't know why, but that's how TVs are now.
Yeah, now you can turn it off. I have a TV and I was able to turn that off, but oh my God, it was
well, that was
soul crushing.
That was like when WWE, they started shooting in HD. They sent a memo out to all the wrestlers like, hey, stop the spray tanning because they're going to see it.
You're orange and you're dripping.
And then like you watch some old stuff and there is spray tan all over the mat. It's just like, it's like, oh shit.
I will say that I brought up the TV thing just because I don't know if you're a YouTube rabbit hole person, but one of the things that I jump in on is there's a group called Corridor Crew, and they do videos where they talk about either good and bad CGI and graphics and effects.
Oh, okay.
And then they also talk about good and bad stunts.
Interesting.
So,
all right.
And they'll bring on people that worked on these movies and stuff, and they'll that build models for like Dune and everything, and they'll talk about like what they used and how they did it. And every now and then, what they'll do, because they're all graphics guys, they'll recreate something. Like they made all the Spider-Man sequel movies R-rated, so they had scenes where Tobey Maguire's holding the train back, his arms rip off, and then he falls down and it tears his face off.
Oh my God.
You know, or they made like Star Wars R-rated, so lightsabers are cutting off arms and the blood's going everywhere. But they also did Jurassic Park, where they updated the graphics to make it look more like what the CGI would look like today on the original Jurassic Park. And it was just really cool to like look at, and it just made me think of like when I saw it when it looked like Muppets to me on like a 2 high-res TV. And so I think about that now every time I see Jurassic Park. But yeah, it's worth a look if you're ever on YouTube.
I'm very
Corridor Crew. It's a fun one.
I'm very interested in that. I will say I think as someone who judges CGI a lot, and like I'm a big sci-fi guy in general, like like I love all the Alien movies, and like you want to talk about like great visual effects, like that first Alien, like how all of that looks and feels is absolutely incredible. Just one of the best movies of all time. But Jurassic Park, I think for being the first like big adopter of CGI, I think a lot of it still holds up because as maybe cheesy as this is to say, there's a lot of heart in that CGI. Like 100%. that T-Rex scene, the combination of the CGI and the giant animatronic, like it just still works so well. It feels, you're supposed to feel that stress, and it still works so well. Where like I watch, like, I don't know, man. I have to imagine like they talk about like Indiana Jones 4, that like the CGI from that movie, that's such a huge budget movie, and the CGI looks absolutely horrible. And I hate how that movie feels so much of the time.
I hate how the movie made me feel.
I remember X-Men Origins Wolverine coming out, and there was it leaked a few days before it actually came out, and everybody was downloading it, and they were like, they didn't really fix all the CG, and I was like, okay, cool, and it was very distracting without it, and it was like, well, they'll fix the CGI, and it was like, it didn't really matter how terrible the story was at that point. They didn't fix the CGI in the movie, first off. And second off, it didn't fix the story either.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But there's a scene where he's in a bathroom and like the adamantium claws come out, and he by mistake hits the sink, and the ceramic sink, and it slices up and all that. It is, if you ever get a chance to watch that scene, the worst. It looks like Who Framed Roger Rabbit animation on his hands. and it was awful. It's so bad, so bad.
Now I will say I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh yeah, great movie.
Oh, that's great.
Because it's on purpose.
Right.
Yes.
Well, there's a difference.
That's how it's supposed to look. I absolutely love that, and I love the combination of CG and I love when they build an animatronic.
Yeah,
I think
totally,
that's awesome.
man.
Like I think that's just the coolest. I feel that's probably better for the actors too. You know, like
they have something to work with. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you see green screen stuff of like Avengers in there, and like Brolin's sitting there with like or even Hulk is sitting there, and he's in like a spandex suit. He's got like a tennis ball hanging from his head.
Yeah. Right.
Or he's got like a coat hanger with a giant Hulk face above him.
Yeah. All right, now everyone act like the world is ending.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
Right. There's a guy with a tennis ball in his head. That's not a big deal.
Dude, all that stuff is so. I mean, like the prequels for Star Wars, when all that shit happened, like my God, like so demystified as like a 12-year-old watching all of that happen, and you're looking at the behind the scenes, and you're just like, what the hell is this? Like, what? They're literally like walking down like how are they supposed to even like pretend like anything's happening? Like, oh man,
right.
That's rough. That's rough stuff. I appreciate that. I feel like it's like everything like that was so pervasive, obviously in the late 90s and early 2000s, where everyone was like, oh my God, why would we build anything? Like, let's just use computers for everything. And then it finally, in the past, maybe like 5 to 10 years, it's kind of coming back around the other way, where it's like, we can use a little bit of that, but we should probably also, have a physical thing here. And yeah. I appreciate that kind
I look at how they did. I look at some of the behind the scenes of The Mandalorian, how they have.
That's a great example.
Right, that they have that like big screen, so when they're acting, they have the whole scene behind them. Yeah, and they're getting to kind of react. But then they also have everything that they're standing on is also built to fit within that scene. Totally, yeah, which is super cool because it gives them then depth, and then they also, it's kind of best of both worlds, which I think is amazing.
I think and that's a whole new Star Wars can be a whole kind of conversation, but I think if there's one thing I appreciate at least about the newer ones is the feel, regardless of the story and whatever. There's a lot of feel that felt how I felt watching the older ones. You know what I mean? Right. Where they're like, I feel like I'm actually in this. I feel like they're in this, and that definitely didn't feel that for a good couple of years there. So
the prequels,
the prequels
were awful.
Yeah. My brother asks, he interviews people for jobs sometimes, and he'll ask them to rate their top 5 Star Wars movies. And if any of the prequels are in them, he doesn't hire them.
Oh, wow. That's brutal.
I was like, all right, man.
I get it.
That's cool.
I don't know, man. Yeah. Maybe 3 would inch up there just a little bit for the story. But
yeah, story-wise, 3's the one that kind of like works. Yeah. And they had to get there,
Yeah.
But I like Patton Oswalt's take, if you've ever seen his special where he talks about it. And he's like, I don't want to know what the things I love were like and how they got there. I just want to like the things I like.
Oh my God. That bit. Oh man, you like Darth Vader? Oh, you think he's like really cool? Well, how about him as a kid?
He is as a little kid.
Yeah. You want to see him as a little kid? Oh man, is he like killing people and like cutting off their hands? No, he's just upset and his mom
died. He's just really sad.
Yeah, it's so
good. He is amazing.
Oh man. He's I think he's coming here to Buffalo in like 2 months maybe.
He's coming here in a couple months, so it's probably because
same tour. Yeah,
he's going to be at a place by us called the Paramount, so he's probably either on his way to or from Buffalo at that point.
Yeah.
I'm actually right in the middle of that documentary that they made about his wife.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, really? My wife was watching that.
I'll Be Gone in the Dark, I think it's called.
Yeah. Because she wrote.
It is intense.
Because she wrote about was it a serial killer or what? Was the deal there? Yeah.
So basically, she got just super duper enthralled in this serial killer case. And she just pulled the right strings and became huge in the true crime scene. She was like one of the pioneers and stuff. And she got so obsessed with it that it was messing her up. Like she ended up getting access to Orange County Police Department, and they were like, here's a closet with all of the pictures and all of the things.
Oh, Jesus.
Here's 37 boxes. Take them.
Wow.
And she was trying to solve it herself, and it really, took its toll.
Jesus.
She died of an accidental overdose.
Wow.
With pain pills and stuff like that. But yeah, the whole story itself, and I'm not even done with it yet. There's still another couple episodes. It's super intense, and the biggest shame is she was a phenomenal writer, like a really, really good writer. But the way they framed the whole story and his involvement in it is great because he's an executive producer, and Jen, my wife, she was talking about it, and she was like, he could have turned this around and just been like, this is about me, and he could have been on it on camera and this and that. He's there, but this is about her. And this is truly a tribute to her, and it's really cool. It's really cool, like the way they put it together. The story behind it is insane, and I highly recommend it. I'm not even done yet, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I think my wife's very into true crime stuff, and I think she started it. And I was very intrigued about the whole, because I followed him forever. I saw him in Rochester 6 years ago, I think, and I've loved Patton Oswalt since I was like a kid. There's oh man, I like when I was younger. I was very I have a brother who's 6 years older than I am, and so when I was like super young, and he was like 18, like finding out cool stuff, listening to cool bands, whatever. He was also super into comedy, and so he would kind of pass that stuff my way, and I maybe didn't get a ton of it at the time when I was like 11 or 12 or whatever, but I started listening to these guys, and there's stuff that I would pick up and I'd be like, oh, that's actually really funny, yada, 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 and got into it a lot more as I got older. And I feel like there's a point, like I want to say there's maybe a point somewhere in my life where I was like, I would have either gone super hard into music or super hard into comedy, and I just picked a certain thing because comedy was like right there, like listening to David Cross's albums when I was 13 or whatever. And I was like trying to show my friends, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, is this stuff? Why are you listening to this? Basically. But like really getting into that kind of stuff. And Patton Oswalt was always there. I just kind of started he put out a book called Silver Screen Fiend that I started a little bit ago, that I love the whole idea about it, of him being obsessed with movies and like his whole deal with that.
What's funny is, it's not funny, but what he actually brings that up, the book. There's a lot of back and forth text messages that he's had with his wife, and he brings up the writing process of the book, and she talks about how like it's really taking her its toll on her, and she's just really tired and this and that. And he's like, I've been through this. I get it. Like, it means you're rounding the end. Like, it means that it's almost there. Like, that's it. So, I want to read that book now too.
Yeah, I want to check that out. I always liked him. He's super funny. He's always one that I like. And I always liked him just because it felt like he's like my nerd side is like his nerd side.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So it's like I can laugh at him, and I could be like, oh man, we can sit and talk about the entire run of Todd McFarlane's Amazing Spider-Man together.
Yeah, exactly.
Like all those kind of things. Totally. So I always liked him. But yeah, comedy, man. Like I'm huge into. That's what I listen to most of the time.
Yeah.
If I'm in the car, that's my on tour late night drive listen. And I don't listen to music anymore. After shows, I can't listen to music. I don't know about you, but I'm like, I don't want to even hear it. I'm like, I've been in a bar all night.
Yeah, I feel like the only time I've ever left a show wanting to listen to something is like if I really love the show, if I really felt like when we've played with bands or I mean, if I'm just going to a show or whatever.
Yeah.
There's been a few times where I've been like so like enamored from like, my God, like on that high or whatever.
Like, yeah, I love this band
like,
I just saw. I gotta hear it.
Yeah, exactly. But I think if I'm playing one, no, I need a break. I like the podcast I like to listen to the most. Like, I'm a huge Comedy Bang Bang fan.
Nice.
That's probably my favorite podcast. I've seen it live. I like that kind of stuff. Like, the thing I love about that, it's like, it's all these. Do you guys know what do you are you?
Mm-hmm. I know.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it.
It's basically, so there's this dude Scott Ackerman who used to write for Mr. Show, just a big with
I know Mr. Show, with
Bob Odenkirk and David Cross from the 90s. So he was a writer and a performer on that. And so he had like kind of like a live show, this improv thing that he turned into a podcast basically 13 years ago, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It started as a radio show on an indie radio station out in LA, and then it turned into a podcast. But he kind of has up and coming like improv performers that are like rising up through the scene. So it's been very cool to see like people that like at their like right when they're starting out at like, UCB, or they just came from Groundlings or whatever. They're trying to like make their way, and now they're like in stuff. Like there's this dude, Tim Baltz. I know this specifically because I just started watching Righteous Gemstones on HBO.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's like a character in that. And like I've been listening to him for like a few years when he like just started out on the podcast and stuff like that. And now he's in like a bigger show. And it's like cool to kind of see that stuff where you're like, this person clearly has talent, and now they're like becoming a bigger deal. And that's, I don't know. I love that kind of stuff. And Scott Ackerman's so great. I listen to like he has like a bunch of different podcasts. I listen to a good amount of them, but I love that kind of comedy stuff. Yeah, for sure. I think there's a few years there where like I listen to so few music like in the car, and I would just listen to like comedy albums or comedy like podcasts or whatever, because I needed that like break. I feel like especially when you're writing stuff, like I don't want to listen to anyone else. I don't want to listen like like I'm either gonna
be
like
in my own space, and
I'm either gonna like listen to my own demos and like critique them to death in my head, or I'm gonna listen to this thing that's gonna make me laugh and forget about all that for like a half hour.
Yeah.
Who makes you laugh? Like who when you see a name, who are you like? I don't care if it's something old or something new. This dude's gonna make me laugh.
Ooh, oh my god. I would say, with that like show or whatever, with the people that are also like comedians outside of that, like Paul F. Tompkins is on there, and I really like him a lot. I like his whole style of comedy. I think gels really well with what I find very funny. Right. I'd say David Cross is usually up there. Like if someone posts a clip of that kind of stuff, it's like hard to say. I've fallen a little off of like stand-up, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've always been like, but I revisit a lot of stuff, or revisit a lot of like Arrested Development is one of my favorite, like the first 3 seasons of that is like one of my favorite things of all time.
Yeah.
And I like, that is, even though it's almost, 20 years old at this point, there's like bits in that I will revisit that I still laugh. Like
it's so good.
Absolutely.
First time.
Yeah. Absolutely. It still just gets you the same way.
The last 2 seasons are garbage.
Yeah, they are. It's very, it's a huge shame.
It's unfortunate.
But those first, like third one is kind of like half season, but those first 2 are like, it's like genius to the point where like, it feels like listening to, when you listen to like an amazing album, and you're like, I just don't understand how someone was able to make this when they did, how they did, with what they had. Like, I feel the same way watching those first 2 seasons of the rest of it. I'm like, I don't know how someone thought of this in 2002 and like, oh my God, like just a next level, kind of comedy. I don't know. I love those kind of things though.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you look at yourself and go, man, someone out there, I need to
how the hell do you do this?
Where are you getting this? Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Man.
Well, we're gonna have to wrap this up.
Yeah, we could.
I find that we're gonna have to have you on again.
Yeah,
please do. This has been wonderful.
We're gonna have to talk more movies. We're gonna have to talk more comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even talk about anything musically on your record at all.
No, we didn't. We did.
I mean, a little bit. Like we talked about the recording process,
a little gear,
but the gear and songwriting, and
we
stuff.
didn't even talk about like the fact that hey, we're all songwriters, and like that's But I guess that's for another time. Let's save it for another time. You have an open invitation here.
Yes. Anytime.
And I will take it. Guys, thank you. This is I had a great time. It's a very fun time. You guys are great. Please do have me back.
Absolutely. And while we have time here, please do let our listeners know where they can listen to Humble Braggers, where they can watch your videos, what to be looking out for, and all the socials, all that kind of stuff.
You got it. So everything is at humblebraggers.com. If you want to follow us we're on Twitter and Instagram. And if you still have a Facebook somehow, we're on there too. Tour dates are on there. We are going to be booking shows, hopefully doing a few runs, hopefully coming down your guys' way, at least like New York-ish. We haven't been there in a few years.
Yeah.
So look for all that. We have a new album. I think that was mentioned very briefly earlier. That came out back in November. It's called Love and Fear. It is on everything right now. Please go listen to it. We're very proud of it and happy with it.
It is a great record.
Thank you very much.
You may have heard their music on The Flash or on
Teen
Mom or iZombie or any of those shows that they happen to be on that we wrote down to make sure to talk about.
Oh man. Yeah.
So try and find the song that you love on Spotify on Teen Mom. See if you can find it.
Yeah, I will. I think it's it has to be in like our top 5 most played. The one reason it is up there is because it was in an episode of Teen Mom.
I was going to say, how proud are you that you have a song in Teen Mom, but also neither of us have a song in Teen Mom.
I think that the beautiful thing about that, just as a very, very quick story.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
When I met my now wife, we were starting to date. She knew I played in bands. Like the second time we went on a date, she like came and saw us play at like a local bar or whatever. And I mentioned like, we had some music and TV shows and stuff like that. She met my roommate, who they both share a love of garbage television, like Teen Mom, which maybe I shouldn't say that because they used our music. Whatever.
Garbage shows need great music.
You know what?
Every show needs a great song.
Got to have some redeeming factor.
Yeah. And you know what? And great people sometimes need garbage shows. So it's a full circle.
It's full circle.
But my wife made the joke at the time of like, oh my God, like I would love if you got your song in like Teen Mom. And my roommate who likes this television was also the dude who ran our label. He lived with me very briefly, like lived out of state and then came back and lived with me very briefly. And then I shit you not, like a month and a half later, he's like, you're not going to believe who we got like a request from for one of your songs. And then it all came to, it was just meant to be from that ridiculous joke from my wife. And then it actually happened.
Hey, you know what?
That's amazing.
It's better to realize that your song is featured on Teen Mom than to find out that your song created a Teen Mom.
Yeah, no, I would feel a lot better about that because in one case, you get money, and the other case you get guilt.
Blame.
I don't know,
guilt or sorrow.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, maybe I don't know. You could be happy for them.
You could be happy for them. Some of them might be happy. You don't know.
I guess
you don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have to be.
I would say one is gonna. You know what? Maybe I guess they both lead to mildly tumultuous feelings.
Yeah,
I agree. I completely agree.
And with that, everyone,
yeah, it's a good ending.
Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Tom, for being here, and thank you for hanging out. Please, please, please come back anytime. For all of you listening, ask yourself every single day. The most important question.
So we already know.
We know what it is. Tom, do you remember what the question of the day is?
Oh my God, is it what is your bacon?
Yes.
Yes, it is. See, we said he was going to be a test later, and he passed.
Excellent.
What's your bacon?
It's over.
I know.
It's over already.
Right. You're going to put this on.
What?
This.
Yeah, I am.
I know you are.
Yeah.
Now,
That was a great episode, wasn't
Now.
it?
Wait, are we not there?
No, this is the outro.
Now.
Thank you guys for listening. Jim.
Yeah.
You have things you got to pimp.
I do. I do have things I got to pimp.
You could do that right now.
I have new music out. Possibly. Maybe. I think I do.
I hope so.
I could. There's a good chance. The plan is to have new music out when this comes out.
Okay.
So if so, there's new music out by Craven Strange. You can find information about it on cravenstrange.net, where you can also find all our socials and all that kind of good stuff. Or you can find me on any of my socials, Jimmy G Shoes. You can find me and talk to me. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. What are your dreams? What are your passions? What's your bacon? All that kind of good stuff. Where can they find you?
Me personally, you could find at me, my own self, Mike, on all of the socials. You can also find my band, Something Heavy, on all digital platforms, and at Something Heavy Music. Also, in terms of music, you can hear Jimmy and I.
Yeah.
On all of music platforms under Bacon Is My Passion.
3 singles now.
We've got 3 singles now. None of them sound like each other.
No, which I love.
Yeah, and we're gonna release more.
Yeah, definitely gonna have some more.
I actually made a post that said this is one of many, because if I don't say that,
then
we're not going to do it.
Right.
So now we have to do it.
Yeah.
Also, social medias for this show. At Bacon Is My Pod.
Yep.
We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. And we are also on TikTok.
Now on TikTok, yeah.
I say it reluctantly.
If all of that seems overwhelming to you, just go to baconismypodcast.com, where you can find links to all of it, as well as a cool place to check out our merch store, Bacon Is My Fashion, where you can get cool t-shirts that will look good on your body parts and also help us keep the show running.
Indeed. So with that said, it's a lot to take in, a lot to unpack. You can rewind it. But at the end of the day, you really just need to remember one thing.
Yeah.
You should always ask yourself.
Number one question.
What's your bacon?
What's your bacon?
You love your weekly dose of bacon as my podcast, but you need even more bacon. Well, just go over to baconismypodcast.com. You can engage even more with us over there. It's a pathway to our music, extra content, our social media pages. Most importantly, grab yourself some pretty sweet swag and put it all over your body parts. Again, that's baconismypodcast.com. Listen to some tunes, pick up some merch, and tell us, what's your bacon?